The marketplace is saturated with advice on how to write better copy, how to create sales letters, how to market your business. And that is a challenge for you as a copywriter, marketing, or business development professional, because the competence level that a business owner believes they have in writing words that sell is through the roof. It's bolstered by this just volumes of materials out there. How do we solve that? How do we get you more customers? And how do we take you to the next level? I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. If you want to grow your copywriting, marketing, or business development services, you must reach narrow niches of customers that are too busy to wallow around in the volumes of tips and ideas and concepts that are out there about copywriting. I have been writing about how to use words that sell for more than 15 years or so. And 2008 is when I actually bought Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips, and I've built on those materials. But before then, I've talked about persuasion, creative and clear communications, and how to leverage the outcomes through words. So you could use medium as a means to reach people so that they'll take specific action. So it's the basis of direct response. And through that time, I've had waves of being popular and not being popular, but mostly being popular with very small groups of individuals who I turn over into consulting type of work. Now, I've written copy for pay, but the majority of the copy I write is for my own consulting and business analytics work. So I do research reports, I do business analytics, which would be, big data type stuff now, burning down lists to find out what segments of the list are most profitable, the metrics behind marketing. But in the beginning, I was just writing about copy, and I'd write a brochure here and there. I'd write a sales letter, but now I'm mostly writing for myself. I also write a large number of technical documents, which I find exciting because I do have subject matter expertise now. The point I'm making here that's important to you is that in the marketplace of ideas, we now have a global market. Somebody can go buy a program or a book and just start writing about the topics in the book and present on their website more than imaginable content of real practical insights that positions them as an expert, and so could 50,000 other people. So India is online with millions and hundreds of millions of users. China is online with hundreds of millions of users. In the United States, we've got at least 50 million adults on the internet. Canada, South America, Africa. The marketplace is flooded with ideas. What's not happening is the implementation. And the key for your client's implementation is to hire you to come either do the work for them or to assist them along the way to get the work done. What kind of work are we talking about? Sales letters, marketing campaigns, newsletter series, autoresponder series, lead generation, sales generation. All these things are the missing piece of what is being shared. See, it's easy to tell somebody what to do. I've done so many podcasts, recordings, videos, training programs. I've done most of them for clients, specifically for that client. Many times I recycle those programs, but I've got a backlog of materials as tall as I am. If they were printed out, I could fill a room full of these damn things. The problem is that doesn't do anything for the person on the other end who's jumping from idea to idea to idea. You've got to grab the customer, get them involved in your program, and then walk them through meaningful steps that create outcomes and results. You've got to get them off the internet where there's an unlimited supply of video, unlimited supply of audio. How many PDF files have you downloaded in the last year? How many have you actually read? It's so easy to get information about writing copy, extremely difficult to get resources to help you get the copy done. Now, what happens is when the marketplace is diluted, then the products get cheaper and cheaper. You can go to Bob Bly and get really good reports on how to do specific copywriting activities. You'll pay $20 to $69. That's it. You're in the money. You can use these reports and actually make money right away. You can go to Dan Kennedy's books online. Some of his books were $300 programs that are now available on Amazon. In fact, you can go to Amazon and get hundreds of books for a few $1,000s and then sit down and implement them and multiply your money 100 times over. It is the implementation. So what you've got to offer your client is not just to write copy for them. You have to help them understand that, look, there's a lot of different ways we can solve this problem, but only 2 ways are we going to be able to test. And then you explain to them why. If we're testing 50 different things, we're not going to know what's going on. And if you test these 2 things, you're going to have a better idea. Oh, and by the way, if you use our method and you use our system and we write the copy for you, we could test 50 headlines, but 1 offer. And we can start developing content off the headlines at work. I have a whole system on topic testing where I sit down with a client and we go through their web analytics and we look what content is converting, which content is not. And guess what the biggest problem I find nearly every time? They are pumping out content like rabbits, breeding rabbits, and they have no conversion tracking. So I go to their site, I see their landing pages. They've got probably, it's a 80-20. Usually there's 10%, 20% of their blog content is incoming landing pages. And then I see no conversion. And I ask the question, because they're like, I don't know why it's not converting. I ask the question, let's look at goals. What's your lead tracking? We use a lot of Google Analytics. What's your lead tracking? What's your goals? How do you know how many people are coming through these sites? Their goals aren't set up correctly. Their tracking mechanism has been broken for a year and a half. Their opt-in pages don't work. Their offer is a great offer, but when you visit the website, you can't find a damn thing. See, it's the implementation that matters. You can have 50, 60, 100 different new ideas every week, and it would be 1 or 2 of those ideas that actually generate revenue for your business. So start with an advisory. Get your customer on board for an advisory or an assessment. When they go through the assessment, you're basically reviewing their organization and looking for problems you can solve. You're going to find the problems you can solve, and then you're going to expand on the problem to make sure they know how pressing that problem is. Like Jeff Paul said, like a stick in the eye or a knife in the heart. You're going to find that problem and you're going to grind that thing. So for example, many of the subscribers to Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips are agencies looking for more information. They want more revenue and they want ideas on how to drive business so they can keep their few copywriters or their assistant fully paid for. Because a lot of times they make enough money to cover their needs, but they're so busy and they're really nose to the grindstone. They would just love to have a full-time assistant or 2 part-time assistants to kind of help with scheduling and keep things a little bit more organized. They can't pay for them though because they can barely make enough to cover their own needs. They haven't factored in the needs of somebody else. So they're out there looking for the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. The challenge is they never sat down to figure out what their rates need to be in order to afford an assistant. And they got all kinds of excuses for it, and we're not going to go into those excuses here. My point being is that more information isn't going to solve that problem. It's sitting down and do what I do as an assessment. You fill out a big, giant, long survey. I'm going to interview you and ask you a lot of questions. I'm going to go through your materials, and then I'm going to provide a report of findings, and we're going to look specifically at your need. You need an assistant. It's not built into your cost model. Therefore, you're not going to have an assistant. Our solution, revamp your cost model, have things the assistant can do to pay for themselves. So at least half of the assistant's work is covering the assistant's load because you know how to cover your own load. You got to cover that assistant's load, cover the burn rate. And then finally, let's execute the plan. Here's the 5 steps you're going to take. See, that's way more valuable than just another piece of information, another idea, something else to try. It is, in some cases, very scientific testing where you're gonna have 5 headlines, 1 offer, or 5 headlines, 2 offers, and you're gonna do a matrix, a test matrix. These are value-added activities that once you start positioning for, your customers will realize that all these people just vomiting up information actually can't deliver any value. And that newsletter subscription they had with so-and-so isn't really doing anything for them because it only gives them new ideas and they can't get the ideas they have implemented. So if they work with you, they're able to get it implemented. Now you start having more recurring billing services or retainer contracts, and then you can start bringing on staff to support some of the maintenance stuff. I don't check the links on a website. I don't even go to a website and put in the customer's URL and have it check the links. I have a webmaster that goes and does it for me. You need to be the same way. I don't write draft reports. I don't write draft materials. I have someone who goes out and does that for me based on the research that I gathered, because the value added activity is me gathering the research. And then I cluster it out. I work out ideas and concepts. I work out talking points. I give it to a couple Cub copywriters, and they give me a draft back, and then I build out a sales letter or something. I might write a report. I might write a webinar. The key is that customer is not, they might be still going out looking at new ideas, but the customer now feels like something's happening right now. Now, the value part of this too is also the regular status updates. Okay, so the customer says, okay, here's $10,000. I'd like a sales letter. And then when you're finished with the sales letter, you get another 10 or 15. It depends on the deal. You need to give them regular updates. Hey, by the way, I'm this far along with the sales letter. Here's a few concepts you should already be testing in your lead generation. And then I give them some lead generation items to start feeding the existing funnels. Usually a client will have some kind of sales letter already, and I'm basically writing a test. So I might say, look, in the research, I don't know if you guys are doing this, but here are 3 ways you could be driving prospects to your existing sales letter. And when ours comes online, you can split test it and see how it works out. So you're really giving them things to do to distract them from the other distractions that are out there. And so this is a powerful concept when you implement it. It means going from an information resource to a subject matter expert to a service provider. Now, you may not be able to do all of that without the proper team or without the proper partnerships or joint ventures, but ultimately the concept has to be there. You're a marketer of services. You are not an educator. You're not a information product factory. You're everything that you're doing is moving that prospect to buying a service, which takes them away from all the distractions and ideas and concepts that don't really have any value unless you implement them. And so once they're on board with you, you can then get them into a reoccurring program. You can be their concierge, helping them focus on the outcomes that they're looking for. And overall, you can team up or staff up in order to support them for the long term. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips, where we cover some of the business of copywriting as well as words that sell and ways to help your clients get better results with you rather than someone else. I'm here for copywriters, marketers, and business development professionals, and I'm looking forward to hearing about your success. If you have any questions about this program or anything else I've covered in this series of podcasts, you're welcome to visit www.adbriefings.co.uk. I am looking forward to hearing from you.